Hi, let me show you how to remove window film yourself so you don't have to call me. If it's just a couple of windows on flat glass and the film's not like 20 years old, you can absolutely do this on your own with some tools that you can buy from the local hardware store. So we're going to start off with some different tool selection so you know what you can use and what's safe for your glass. The first thing that I recommend is you go to your local hardware store and you pick up an extended 4-inch scraper. Okay, this guy is amazing and we use it all the time. While you're there, you're also going to want to pick up the 4-inch blades that go with it. Now this pack is really nice and handy because as you slide it out safely from one side, it also has inside that you slide it in to get rid of the blades that you've already used. The next thing you're going to want to have is some sort of a scrubbing pad. Now I buy mine online and these are meant for window film, so they are meant to be safer for the glass. You don't want a Brillo pad or some really crazy type of sponge that's going to scratch the surface. So I typically will use one of these 3M Scotch-Brite white pads. These are stiff, but they're still soft enough and pliable that I know that they're not going to scratch the glass. You can also get away with stainless steel wool where it has 4 zeros, 4-aught stainless steel wool. You want to get the ones that come in a pack. They're usually $4 or $5 and you just tear off what you need and you're going to throw it away as soon as you're done because once it's wet, it's going to rust, okay? But I typically try to stick to the sponges like this. It's also great to have some sort of these are called Olfa blades, the type of blade that's inside of here, the type of razor blade. Olfa brand was what really made them famous, but I like to use these guys. This helps me get to the corners and pick it off and kind of detail work around the gaskets so you're less likely to damage the gaskets. Because when you're working with these big 4-inch blades, you can slip and hit it, and if you're not really comfortable with it, you will damage something around your window. Don't want that. I'm also going to be using a 6-inch scraper. Okay, this is a Tint brand. It's purple, it's awesome. It has a little thing that slides out. And that's where you use your scratchless blades. I like these guys. These are glass polish scratchless scrapers. They're 150 millimeter blades, 6 inches wide. And same thing, just like the other ones, they have a nice little safe spot so you can slide out a blade when you're going to use it, and then the area where you can dispose them inside. I'm also going to use a squeegee. So this is just a regular rubber squeegee. You can buy this at your local hardware store as well. The ones you buy might have a different color handle, but for the most part, they're all the same. So this will be used for like our final cleaning. And then lastly, some other things you're going to want. If you notice, I have some towels along the edge, and that's to help to protect the sill from the water that's coming down and the adhesive that's going to come off and any of my blades or tools that might hit the top of that windowsill. We don't want to damage the window while we're doing the removal. Many times, this valance and the blinds are going to be in the way. So it's a good idea to pull these off if you can. Sometimes you cannot, but most of the time you can. It's usually little pressure points in here. So if you hit the little pressure plies, let's see if those snap off from them. Down some more safely. Now we've got these standard drop-down blinds, and usually there's something right here. So I like to use a paint can opener. Works really well. Get in there, and usually they twist upwards. So there's a little pressure pin right here that you want to release. So I'm going to press down or press up here, get the paint can opener, and I'm twisting it. So twist upwards. And this whole thing slides out. Really important, make sure you pull your blinds up first before you pull this out, or before you unlock these. Because if you have these unlocked and you go to pull the blinds up, it might fall out on you. You don't want that. Check your windows, make sure that nothing's too loose, because you're gonna put a little pressure on here and you don't want to accidentally knock something loose when you do that. So this window's a little loose on here, but that's okay. I'm gonna start off with my razor blade, with the Wolf blade. I'm gonna use the back of it to kind of grab this corner of the film. Sometimes you scrape at it a couple times. If that doesn't work, the next thing that you do, well, let me change the blades in here, because if you notice that this blade's just way too small and I didn't set myself up right. So give me a second, let me change my blades out. All right, back to it again. So now we've got plenty of blade. I'm gonna stick out a good few sections, maybe 6 or so clippings, and then I'm gonna run it sideways underneath this and just try to hit the edge of the film. And I'm just using that blade to cut into it and just create something I can grab. I'm gonna do it again on this side. Be careful to watch out which side of the blade is the sharp side. It will cut you very quickly. All right, and now we just pull this film off. Also, if you notice, there's 2 layers of film here. It's always better to try to remove both layers at the same time. Sometimes you can't do that. In this case, we can. Here's a perfect example of how many layers are on a lot of film. So you've got this clear top coat, you've got this silver mid coat, and then you've got a coloring that's like also right underneath the top coat. So this film is at least 3 layers. You don't want to take them off layer by layer, trust me. Okay, you might think to yourself, you've got all the adhesive off, or you've got all the film off of here, and you're right. You have all the film off of here, but you may not have all the adhesive off. Adhesive is clear, and so you can see some of this right here. This is still scraping off. There's still a layer of clear adhesive on here. So we'll get to that in a minute. Let me get the rest of the film off over here, and then we're gonna see if we can do a trick on this side that'll make removing the adhesive even easier and better. We're gonna save this piece of film, and we're gonna note which side is the top coat and which side was the adhesive. The top coat is what was facing us. I'm touching the top coat now. So I'm gonna put that down on the ground and continue working on this. See, we saved the top coat. It's got that clear section. Again, I'm just gonna lay this with the top coat facing down on the ground for now. I'm gonna try to get a little bit more of this off before I do my next trick. So one of the tricks that I'm going to use today is water and soap. So the soapy water creates what's called a slip solution, and the soapiness is going to make the adhesive not stick to itself. But we're gonna try to what we call bag a window. Some people call it steaming a window, and this is not with a steamer. You do not use a steamer, a heat gun, a hair dryer on architectural glass. You can get away with that on automotive glass because it's made different. But if you use the wrong source of heat on here or the wrong thing, you will break this glass. You don't want to do that. All right. That is a generous amount of soapy water. Now I'm going to take these pieces of film with the hard coat on them, and I'm going to lay it over where there's still film at. And it's going to trap that soapy water to the film that's on here. And if everything goes well, it's going to soften everything up. It softened the adhesive up, and it'll make it come off a lot easier. Cool. Now while the big window sits and does that, we're going to clean off the adhesive on here the good old-fashioned way with just some elbow grease and soapy water. Now you do not have to use soapy water, but sometimes you don't actually want to use any soapy water, but I find that most of the time it creates a nice little slick surface, and that helps you from scratching the glass. Because scratching the glass is bad, especially if you don't own it. All right, I'm going to take this blade and I'm going to put it at about a 30-degree angle, and I'm going to push the pressure and slide it with the glass. And I'm putting just enough pressure to hold it flat on the glass, but I'm not trying to push it through the glass. And here you go. You can start seeing your adhesive come off. All right, so let me get to working on this while that steams. All right, there we have it. Like 95% of the adhesive is off of this. There's still some streaks in some areas. I'm gonna end up cleaning this glass afterwards anyways, and during that cleaning process, using the scrub pad, we'll find the last of the adhesive. All right, now this has been sitting for a few minutes. Let's see if it's softened up at all. A lot of times I leave it on here for 20, 30, or 40 minutes. So same thing, about 30 degrees handle to the glass, and then this is an angled edge, and so the leading edge I usually have close to the frame. Oh, this one's definitely stuck on here a lot more. So you can see what's being scraped off right here. Sometimes I'll put a little bit more lubrication on here so we don't scratch the glass. And it also keeps the adhesive from re-sticking. All right, so where the film is still on this window and it didn't come off, that's gonna be the hardest areas to cut through. And so sometimes you have to use that angled edge, just push, and sometimes you have to tap it. Trying not to press too hard against the glass. I'm just trying to keep it flush up against it. Do little strokes. It's okay if it leaves a little adhesive behind because that's easy to clean off, but we really want to get as much of the film and adhesive off in one go as we can. So something to note, you notice how when I was doing this, my blade hit this frame several times? Well, the more it hits that frame, the more dull this blade is gonna get. So, good time to change it out. This one you screw off the bottom, there's a little screw, releases this guy, press down on this side, and it lets the blade come out. And I'm going to lubricate the whole window again. By the way, if I didn't say it, this was basically full of water, and then I just did a little squirt of Palmolive in there, or Dawn or something, I don't know, the blue one, and that gives just enough slipping solution for a removal. You want it to be a little soapy, because the more soapy it is, the less likely your adhesive is to re-stick to this, and you don't want that. Okay, really quick, since I sprayed this, I'm gonna use a sponge, and watch what happens. We're not actually using the sponge to remove the adhesive, we're using the sponge to show ourselves where the soap suds are, which will show us when we start scraping the glass where we worked on this glass and where we haven't. Since the adhesive is clear, it's sometimes kind of hard to tell what you've removed and what you haven't removed. So this gives us a visual representation, because watch, as soon as I start scraping it, the white goes away. And now I know exactly where I've gone over. A lot of times, when we get to this point, I'll use a brush like this. Stiff bristle brush, it'll get in there, it'll grab, see this film that was removed but it's just pushed into the corners. It'll grab all that. An adhesive. Sweet. I'm gonna do one more cleaning on this window, or these windows. Again, there you have it. The most important tools that you're going to have today is going to be this 4-inch extended scraper, 4-inch razor blades that you can buy, right, usually right next to them, a scrubby pad, soapy water in a spray bottle, and some sort of an Ulfa blade. You can buy these metal ones are much more expensive, but they also come in little plastic versions that you can buy at a lot of like the Harbor Freight type stores for less than $1. Now, it's unlikely that you're gonna buy stainless steel razor blades from the home improvement store. The ones that usually come in these 10 packs are carbon blades. If you do not use soapy water as a slip solution, or if you've got your angle too on point on the glass and you're too perpendicular to the glass, you will scratch that glass. In fact, even doing it the right way, there's still a chance that you scratch the glass. I've been doing this for over 2 decades. I've scratched lots of glass in the beginning of my career, but once you learn the right technique, you use some sort of a slipping lubricant, and you know that you're not pressing too hard into the glass, it's a breeze from there. It took me about 25 minutes to make this video to show you how to do the removal. If I wasn't making the video, it would probably take me 15 to 18 minutes. And I got to charge $200 to remove the film on just these 2 panels because of my knowledge and knowing how to not scratch their glass. Because this apartment complex and the property managers don't want to have to buy several $100s of glass just because you used the wrong blade or you did it at the wrong angle. Now, if you go to try this and you realize that it's way more work than you want to deal with, that's okay. We are the professionals. Call us at WolfGang Window Film. We do this every day, every week without damaging the glass.